With Digimon Adventure 2020's 31st episode recently released at the time of me recording this video, I figured since this is technically the halfway point of the anime, I'd give you guys my general impressions and thoughts on this series. Now, if you haven't been a part of the channel for very long, I had actually given Digimon Adventure 2020 an honorable mention in my top 10 anime of summer 2020 list due to the fact that it was delayed back in spring, and then it continued airing back in the summer of 2020. But with all that brief introduction out of the way, what are my thoughts of Digimon Adventure 2020 after 31 episodes of watching this reboot? Now, I just want to get this out of the way. I really do enjoy Digimon Adventure 2020. I have been craving a new Digimon series ever since Tri ended. While it wasn't the greatest Digimon anime or continuation ever, I enjoyed it. And then we got Digimon Adventure Last Evolution Kizuna, which really tied off the original Digimon Adventure series pretty well, especially for the original cast. But Digimon Adventure 2020 is a full-on reboot of the Digimon Adventure series with a different story while bringing back the original cast of the first season. Now, I want to get one thing out of the way. Do I think Digimon Adventure 2020 is better than the original? Of course not. I feel like the only thing that's better about this series is its animation and possibly its pacing at certain points. But other than that, these are entirely different series and they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. My personal favorite Digimon series is Digimon Tamers. That's just a given fact that a lot of my friends already know, and I just shared this with you. But Digimon Adventure's first season is honestly my second favorite Digimon series, and it was my childhood. I will always love it, despite the obvious animation errors that were done or the constant recycling of animation, especially attack animation, in every single episode. The story of the original Digimon Adventure was great, and the characters were really likable and they developed very well. Now, what everyone is going to compare this original series to is its new counterpart, its reboot. People are going to obviously probably try and shit on it because it is a reboot, or because it is doing a lot of things differently. Or there could be people saying that it's better than the original for superficial reasons like its animation and possibly the fact that it's in modern times. And these are all purely subjective, but no one should insult any series for any particular reason. Digimon Adventure 2020 is great in being its own thing. It takes a lot from the original series, but the story and why the Digidestined have been brought to the digital world is entirely different from the original in a few aspects. Now, Digimon Adventure 2020 is honestly a pretty good anime in my opinion. It's not the best, but it is honestly one of the anime that I wait week by week to watch because I will always love Digimon. That is something I will never give up in my life, even if I do grow up. And Digimon has a good way of growing up with its audience, so I don't think I'll ever stop loving Digimon. Now let me just get this out of the way. Digimon Adventure 2020 has actually got one of the best beginning 3 episodes of any Digimon series out there. It's got great animation, a beautiful Digivolution scene in the very first episode, high intensity stakes, a fast-going plot, and the reveal, one of my all-time favorite Digimon at the end of episode 2 and beginning of episode 3, and some of the best action you can see in Digimon to date. Not to mention the fact that the first 3 episodes are basically like an anime version of the Digimon R War Game short film, which I honestly really love that I can get the reference to that movie. But yeah, the series actually had a pretty strong start. Then it got delayed, the hype kind of died down a little bit, and there was obviously some things that people didn't really like once it came in, especially since it didn't have that level of consistency when it originally came back from its, hiatus. The animation eventually became a lot cleaner. The battles in the series have actually gotten a lot more detailed and much more fluid, especially when the main cast Digimon digivolve for the first time and battled those opposing Digimon. Now, one thing I do want to get out of the way is that I do have one major criticism of this show, and it's that it's giving a bit too much spotlight to Matt and Tai, which is something the original series did do, basically since they were the only ones that got their mega forms in the original series. But in this series, they kind of push Matt and Tai to the forefront from the very start, and there is less focus on the other kids, not from lack of trying, mind you. The rest of the Digidestined actually do get a really good time to shine and also have their own character development and their own growth. But compared to the original, which had the characters fleshed out a bit more and how it felt like it was all a group effort, Sometimes, especially in the more recent arcs, it feels like it's more focused on Matt and Tai than it is on the entirety of the group. That is honestly one of the major criticisms I do have about the series, and I do think a lot of people do agree with me. Especially since Matt and Tai are the only ones that get those really flashy and amazing Digivolution sequences. The rest of Digidestined do get their own awesome Digivolution sequences, primarily for Ultimate. Everything else is just one quick ball of light, and then they become into their champion forms. One thing I really hope for is for everybody to get an awesome Digivolution to Mega, similar to Metal Greymon got in episode 30. However, despite my gripes on the series, I still very much enjoy it. The kids get their own really nice moments and character motivations for how they're doing everything, and the way it's paced is honestly pretty streamlined and fast. Granted, I think it was a bit too fast considering that we got Metal Greymon within the first, 10 episodes or so. But moving that to the side, we kept the Ultimates as a main Digivolution line for a good chunk of the series for 20-ish episodes, and I didn't mind it all too much. Granted, I do feel like they should have stayed with Champions a few more episodes later and then get into Ultimate, but that's more of a personal thing. Regardless, while it does have a pretty fast pacing, it doesn't skip on the fact that it tries to give the world of Digimon, the digital world, a good sense of world building. It's not perfect, mind you, but it does feel like they're really trying to give the digital world this sense of being alive and having its own dark history. Especially when in episode 5 we get the reveal that there was some kind of ancient war between light and darkness, and that there's this ancient darkness that's coming back, and the Digidestined were chosen to come to the digital world to help defeat it. That is something I do like. It's not like there were these chosen children that were brought to the digital world for a somewhat ambiguous reason or because previous Digidestined failed, though I wouldn't put them past the creators of the show to really take that plotline from the original and put this into this new series. But if it's not that, then I honestly don't mind. The action sequences are still very fun and fluid for the most part, and they're being very creative with not just how the story is being told, but also with what Digimon they choose to show. They could have just easily brought back every one of the original Digimon from the first season, but no, they're bringing Digimon from every other season. Even especially a lot of Digimon from Digimon Cross Wars, which a lot of people have some problems with Cross Wars, and I see that. I really enjoyed Cross Wars, but a lot of the Digimon we get to see in this series, a vast majority of the newer ones are from Cross Wars or from games. Not to mention a lot of references to some of the games and the V-Pets in this series, especially later down the road. But the series has continued to be very fun to watch, and I have continued to be even more invested into the series. It's its own thing, and I love how, even though it does have some callbacks to the original with how certain characters act or how specific plotlines are brought about, it's unique enough to be considered its very own thing and not even a reboot. This Digimon Adventure, while original fans will love the nostalgia of seeing the original cast, this is the Digimon Adventure for the next generation of Digimon fans. And I cannot wait to see what they do next with the series, because as of episode 31, we got some more reveals, and due to the fact this is the halfway point of the season, I can't wait to see how the stakes get stacked up again, because if you didn't know, episode 24 was honestly one of its best episodes. And even episode 30 was pretty great also. Not just animation-wise, but story and character-wise. Digimon Adventure 2020 just continues to impress, even though there are some moments where I think the pacing has gone too fast and they keep going continuously from one thread to the next without giving the main characters too much of a break or time to breathe, which is honestly something that the original series didn't really have a problem with, only in the later arcs, because that was how the story was and it made sense. Now, almost everything they do in the digital world, they have to do within a certain amount of time, because the events of the digital world actually end up affecting the events going on in the real world, which is something that this new series has really hooked me on, because now the kids don't have too much time to just sit back and relax or wonder what they have to do next. They have to continuously keep going so that they can make sure that their world doesn't suffer some kind of catastrophe due to the events of the digital world affecting their own. I know I did have a bit of a negative aspect with the pacing, but I do feel like they could have gotten a bit more time to breathe after stopping each crisis that was going on in the digital world, and it is a very stern criticism. However, the overall series is something that I really do enjoy, and I really do love watching it. Digimon Adventure 2020 as a Digimon fan you will love regardless, despite the nitpicks and some problems you might have. If you're a new fan of Digimon, this series is definitely for you, especially if you got into the series in the video games. You will really love this new Digimon series, and I welcome new fans to this fandom. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I might make a full-on real review of Digimon Adventure 2020 when it inevitably ends, most likely this year, due to the fact that it has had 31 episodes and has been confirmed to have 66 episodes. So that's about another 33 weeks. So let's see what happens next. If you want me to talk about more anime, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to get updated on when my videos end up coming out. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at the official Review Cave for updates on future videos, as well as new polls that I'm trying to do to help decide on what other videos to do when I can't decide between them. If you don't know, I have a habit of being pretty indecisive when I have 2 or 3 really good topics and I'm not sure which one to talk about. But yeah, with all that said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and that you're willing to give this Digimon series a fair chance. And with all that said and done, I hope you guys have an awesome day.